The wisdom of Ethan Vere who had garnered his love there. "Cousin," she exclaimed, "the hall light is so dim. You almost frightened me when I glimpsed you standing there. Did the wind wake you, too? I think we're going to have a thunderstorm, it is so hot and gusty. I heard poor Bagheera mewing and scratching at the door, so I was just going down to let him in before the rain comes." "Yes," I achieved; then, finding my voice secure, "I will let in the cat. Where is Vere?" "He did not wake up, so I tiptoed out. Why?" "I do not like to have you going about the house alone at this hour." Her eyes widened and she laughed outright. "Why, Cousin Roger! What a funny idea to have about our very own house! I have one of the electric flashlights you bought for us all. See?" What could I tell her of my vision of her womanly softness and timidity brought to bay by the Thing of horror down in those empty lower rooms? How did I know It stalked no prey but me? Its clutch was upon Desire Michell. These were Its hours, between midnight and dawn. "Tramps," I explained evasively. "Give me the light." But she pattered down the stairs beside me, kimono lifted well above her pink-flowered slippers, one hand on the balustrade. The light glinted in the white topaz that guarded her wedding ring, a richer jewel than any diamond in the sight of one who knew the tender thought with which she had set it there. No, the horror was not for her, clothed in her wholesome goodness as in armor of proof. Surely for such as she the barrier stood unbreached and strong. When I opened the front door, Bagheera darted in like a hunted cat. A drift of mist entered with him. Looking out, I saw the night was heavy with a low-hanging fog that scarcely rose to the tree-tops, a ground mist that eddied in smoke-like waves of gray where our light fell upon it. Such mists were common here, yet I shivered and shut it out with relief. While I refastened the lock, Bagheera purred around my ankles, pressing caressingly against me, as if thanking me after the manner of cats. I remembered this was not the first time he had shown this anxiety and gratitude for shelter. "Bagheera does love you," Phillida commented, stooping to pat him. "Isn't it funny, though, that he never will go into your room? He is always petting around you downstairs. When Cristina or I are doing up your quarters, he will follow us right up to the door-sill, but we can't coax him inside. Perhaps he doesn't like that perfume you always have about." A qualm ran through me, recalling the night I had taken the cat there by force, and its frantic escape. But I snapped the key fast and straightened myself with sharp self-contempt. Had I fallen so low as to heed the caprices of a pet cat? Was it not enough that I had fled from my enemy after accepting the knowledge it had striven so long to force upon me? For I had that knowledge. When I had halted in the passage outside my room, in the moment before Phillida had joined me, there had been squarely set before my mental sight the place to seek the book. "Phillida, there was a bookcase in this house when it was bought," I said. "I believe it stood in my room before the place was altered. A small stand. I remember putting my candle on its top the first night I slept here. Have you seen it?" Some tone in my question seemed to touch her expression with a surprise as she lifted her eyes to mine. Or perhaps it was the hour I chose for the inquiry. "Oh, yes," she answered readily. "I supposed you had noticed it long ago. I mean, where it stands. The quaintest bit, a genuine antique. And holding the stuffiest collection of old books, too. I believe they may be valuable, out of print, early editions. If," her voice faltered wistfully, "if Father ever forgives me for being happy with Ethan, and comes to visit us, he would love every musty old volume. Do you think Mother and he ever will, Cousin Roger?" "I am sure they will, Phil. Feuds and tragic parents are out of date. They must adjust themselves gradually when they realize Vere is himself. Before you go upstairs to him, will you tell me where to find that bookcase?" "Now? Why, of course." She led me across the hall to her sewing room. I cannot say that she sewed there very much, but she had chosen that title in preference to boudoir or study as more becoming a housewife. She had assembled here a spinning wheel from the attic, some samplers, a Hepplewhite sewing table and chairs discovered about the house. Her canary's cage hung above a great punch bowl of flowered ware in which she kept goldfish. A pipe of Vere's balanced beside the bowl showed that his masculine presence was not excluded. In a corner stood the bookcase. Phillida pulled the chain of a lamp bright under a shade of peacock chintz and watched me stoop to look at the faded bindings. "Thank you, Phil," I said. "It may take some time to find the book I want. You'd better hurry back to bed before Vere comes hunting for a missing wife." "Are you going to stay and hunt for the book tonight, then?" "Unless you're afraid I shall disturb your canaries?" She did not laugh. Drawing nearer, she stroked my sleeve with a caressing doubt and remonstrance. "But you have not been to bed at all, and soon it will be morning. Do you have to write your lovely music at night, Cousin Roger? You have been growing thin and tired this summer. Are you quite well? You're so good that you should be happy, but are you?" "Good, Phil?" I wondered, touched. "Why, how did your lazy, tune-spinning, frivolous cousin get that reputation in this branch of the family?" "You are so kind," she said simply. "Ethan says so. You know, Cousin Roger, that I was overeducated in my childhood, my brain choked with little stupid knowledge that hardly matters at all. We went to church Sundays because that was the correct thing to do. But I was almost a heathen when Ethan married me. He doesn't trouble about church, he doesn't trouble about the past, or life after death, or punishment for sin. He believes if one tries to be kind and straight, the big kindness and straightness takes care of everything. So I have learned to feel that way too. It is a calm sort of feeling all the time, if you know what I mean. And that is the way you are good, although perhaps you never thought of it." "Thank you, Phillida," I acknowledged, and walked with her to the foot of the stairs. When her pink-clad figure had vanished behind her bedroom door, I went back to the sewing room and drew up a chair before the case of books. Phillida had not unreasonably stigmatized them as stuffy. They were a sober collection. Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy, an ancient copy of the Apocrypha, and a 3-volume Life of Martin Luther loaded the first shelf. I looked at the second shelf and found it filled with the bound sermons of a divine of whom I had never heard. The lowest shelf held strange companions for the sedate volumes above. Erudite works on theosophy, magic, the interpretation of dreams and demonology huddled together here. Not all of them were readable by my humble store of learning. There was a Latin copy of Artemidorus, Mesmer's Shepherd, Matthew Paris, some volumes in Greek, and some I judged to be Arabian and Hebrew.